I've become completely obsessed with the Karen Read trial. And I'm just scratching the surface. I spent about an hour today just doing a little cursory glance on the internet. 4 pages of typed notes. And this is before the trial began. And real quick before I begin, let me set the record straight on something. Yesterday's video, I said the Colin kid with the bloody knuckles, that photo was taken the next day, and it wasn't. Thank you. Everyone's corrected me and said that photo was actually taken several days, maybe even a week later. I'm not sure how long, but he still had like scabbing on his knuckles days later when that picture was taken. So let me just correct that first. I have 4 things that I want to call out in just these notes that I found today that I think we should talk about. And one, for those of you who are confused, which is what I did, I typed an entire page of who's related to who was at the house that night, all of that, because I just can't keep the players straight. I discovered that NBC 10 Boston has an app that you can download. And this app has this really cool interactive feature. So it has all of the players, and if you push on one of the dials, it shows you who all they're related to and how. And then up here, there's a definition. It's like sister, brother, wife, husband, nieces, nephews, siblings. Like it tells you everything over here. But this is super cool because you can push on any of the buttons and it shows you the entire family tree and who's connected to who. So this is critical if you are somebody who's trying to follow this and you're like me and you have no fucking clue who any of these people are. First, I want to talk a little bit more about this Brian Higgins fella. He's the ATF guy who's friends with the Alberts, but then he was also sending these flirty texts back and forth with Karen Read. And then there was this conversation about how he and a buddy from the FBI, and they used some FBI equipment to pull out those texts. And then there was this conversation about how he disposed of his cell phone. I was watching video of his testimony and I'm thinking, he just threw it away? And when they asked him, like, why'd you throw it away? He couldn't come up with why. He would just say, well, it's my right. It's my right. It's my right to do it. But here's what's interesting. So he was talking about how the SIM card, like he pulled the SIM card and he either cut it up or broke it. Now, I don't know about you, but when I get a new cell phone, I transfer everything from the old cell phone into the new cell phone. Apparently he didn't do that and he destroyed the SIM card. So there was no way that he could actually put that information into the new phone, I guess, unless he downloaded stuff from the cloud. But anyway, here's what I find concerning. It's not so much that he so casually said, well, I just threw it in the trash. If I threw something in the trash, I just drop it in my kitchen wastebasket. And I never throw away old cell phones. I don't know about you guys, but I have like a junk drawer full of old cell phones for like the past 20 years. But anyway, here's what I find interesting. He actually drove to a military base and threw it in the dumpster on the base. Why? Have you ever stopped to get rid of anything? Taking out the garbage? I understand if you're driving by like a Safeway and there's a dumpster and you go, oh, I'm going to throw my stuff in the Safeway dumpster. Why would you drive to a military base and throw stuff away in their dumpster? Is it possible that maybe their trash is collected separately since it's a government facility and maybe that trash doesn't go to the local dump? I don't know. I'm just speculating here, allegedly. But when you admit that you drove to a military base just to throw it away, how the hell is that not suspicious? But let's talk about the doctor. Dr. Justin Rice, he's the ER doctor who treated John O'Keefe when he was brought in that morning. And he told investigators later that he had heard from an EMS something about this person was a victim of being hit by a car. So it got to the investigator, and the way the investigator obviously took it was that the doctor and the paramedic are both thinking this guy may have been hit by a car. But once he was on the stand being questioned by the defense attorney, the doctor is like, well, no, I mean, I didn't say that. I thought it was in somebody else's report and I just sort of repeated it. But it turns out none of the doctor's reporting ever included anything about O'Keefe being struck by a vehicle. And he admitted that on the stand, that there was nothing in his report that talked about a vehicle. That was just some like alleged hearsay that somebody was saying out loud, but he never included it in his report. In fact, look at this paragraph and you can pause to read. They picked him apart. He admitted that the only injuries to John O'Keefe were in his head, right? It was on his face and it was on the back of his head and he had lacerations all up and down his arm. But look, he had no injuries. On the stand, the doctor admitted to this because it was in his report. In that doctor's report, he never mentioned any other injuries. And on the stand, He admitted that there were no other injuries to the shoulders, the chest, the torso, the back, the ribs, the hips, the knees, the shins, the ankles, or the feet. So how do you get hit by a vehicle that's backing up? And I said this in my video yesterday, that if anything, he probably got hit like in the chest or the stomach, like there would be internal injuries. Of course, if you got hit by a corner, that back tail light of an SUV smack into your chest or your gut, there would probably be internal bleeding. But this is saying he didn't have any injuries to anything basically below his neck. And there was also some rumor that maybe, or some worry that maybe it wasn't Reed that hit him. Did he maybe get some speculation? Maybe did he get hit by a snowplow? But if you get hit or run over by any vehicle, if you get hit, you're probably going to get thrown. Like, you're going to probably take a body blow. So the fact that there is no bruising, no nothing, no contusions, no injuries at all to anything from the neck down is really shocking. It makes me feel like they're completely full of shit. Now, here's the last thing I'm going to mention, and I'll make it quick because I know I'm running out of time. I have the timeline of all the texts and everything that was reported. This was all pulled from police records. And there is a call that went from Jennifer McCabe to Julie Albert. Now, Julie Albert is Chris Albert's wife, and Chris Albert is the brother of Brian Albert, whose house this was all at. From what I can find, Chris Albert and Julie Albert were not at the house party. They were at the bar earlier, but they were not at the house party. That's what I believe happened. But Julie gets a call. Phone records show that Jennifer McCabe called Julie Albert at 5 a.m. that morning. It says she told investigators that it was a missed call, that Julie never picked it up. Julie said, I missed the call. But then later, when she's in front of the grand jury, she said that it was from that call that she learned that John O'Keefe was dead. Now, if she missed the call and it went to voicemail, then that's what Jennifer McCabe left on the voicemail. Maybe. I don't know. I would think there'd be a voicemail we could retrieve. But she later told the grand jury that she found out during that 5 a.m. phone call that John O'Keefe was dead. But interestingly enough, the women didn't arrive back at the Albert house until 6 a.m. They didn't find John and call 911 until 6:04 a.m. John was not pronounced dead until 7:59 a.m. at Good Samaritan Hospital. So how the hell is Julie Albert finding out at 5 a.m. from a call from Jennifer McCabe that John O'Keefe is dead at 5 a.m.? And that's what she said to the grand jury. And don't forget, before this went to a grand jury, Karen Reed was originally charged with manslaughter, motor vehicle homicide, and leaving the scene, and she posted a $50,000 bond. Then it goes to the grand jury, right? And everybody comes before the grand jury and they tell all of this, what I think is trumped up testimony to the grand jury. And then suddenly they indict her on an upgraded charge of second-degree murder with motor vehicle homicide and leaving the scene. And now her bond is increased to $100,000. So it wasn't until after that grand jury testimony that they ratcheted up the charges against Karen Reed. So what happened between that morning and when it got to the grand jury, all of these people, in my opinion, got in cahoots and told a bigger story to make sure Karen Reed got put away. Okay, so I'm in it now. You guys, if you want to keep coming back here every day, I'm going to keep trying to do updates. I haven't even gotten to the trial yet. This is all just the preliminary stuff. So please stay tuned and I will be back with more.